Hello again, everyone. Amanda Johnson. I'm back with another author spotlight here to shine light on what authors go through during the creative process, different parts of the creative process, and what is so important for any of you out there who are watching who might have a story to write or a book to write and a message to share. So I'm having these beautiful writers and authors come in, chat with me. I'm so blessed and grateful that I have so many in my wheelhouse who are willing to share a little bit about their journey, their creative process and their journey, and specifically how I'm also able to facilitate and support that process. So it's a mutual exchange here. So today I have Elizabeth Gudrais Geib, and she is a writer and an author of a forthcoming book. More to come on that, but it's a book in process right now, and one day I'll be able to share more about it when it's out in the world. But for today, what I wanted to share with all of you is her a little bit of her nuggets of wisdom, insight when it comes to her own creative process. So Elizabeth, I want to launch right in and say thank you for being here. And can you share a little bit about the process you've been through because you came and attended my retreat in October in Costa Rica? And I'd love to hear a little bit about that and how that supported you in your own creative process.
Yeah, so I am a professional writer. It's what I do in my daily life. And so I knew the retreat would be an enjoyable, special experience for the sake of just, kind of going on vacation, but I wasn't really clear on, like, is it actually going to help me write? Because that's something I can do at home. I felt like it's going to be a win-win to go to Costa Rica no matter what, but I really can't describe how important it was, not only the location, but the people I was surrounded by and our guide also were so instrumental in the process of writing what I did while I was there. And I can truly say that it would not have happened without the retreat or if I had tried to write the same thing here in Wisconsin.
Well, I have full body chills, so thank you for that. What I'm curious, because of course I can sit here and talk all day about why I think or feel or know really why something like this is important, mostly because it was an inspiration that spoke to my heart. And I know that because it spoke to my heart, it's a desire that I am needing for others. And I know that within myself. And sometimes that's hard to communicate or hard to articulate. And so someone like yourself who has been through it already, why would you say that was the case? Why were you able to, and you don't have to give specifics, but what do you think it was about being in retreat or being together in this space that gave you that permission, allowance, clearing, whatever it was, for you to get what you got done?
I mean, we talked about this before, but I really can only describe the group that came together as divinely guided. And I don't say that lightly at all. There were some really remarkable coincidences of, people saying things that kind of triggered a memory in me that then became a passage in what I was writing. And it seemed like we were all there to serve a specific purpose for each other. So it was beautiful. It was magical. I've really never experienced anything like it in my life. And I know that's in part because of the process that you follow in aligning with your purpose and looking to divine guidance to bring all of us together.
Beautifully said. Thank you. I love that. And again, more chills. I know what you're speaking to is the magic, the miracles, the whatever we want to label it, that can happen when we come together, when we collaborate, co-create, even if each person there was working on their own project, right? Because each of you had your own specific project, book, whatever journey you were on, and yet it all fed, right? It fed one another. And I absolutely witnessed that. And it was profound to me, right? Because there was no planning in that way. There was no, okay, I need this person, I need that person, you all found your way. And actually, could you speak to that? Because I believe you were actually you were on the fence, right, about coming a little. Is that true? Or you were, I mean,
Well, it was more because of some things that were happening in my personal life. And Well, I'll just share because I don't want to be all cryptic about it. But so we had a failed attempt at IVF, which, was heartbreaking. And then I felt like kind of out of that heartbreak, I was like, fine, I'm going to go on this retreat. And it was kind of, it was something that I dreamed of doing, but I'm not sure if I would have given myself permission. But, to have that moment where it's like, I don't even care, like I'm going. So that led into it. In kind of a beautiful way, but yeah, I don't know. Did I
Yeah.
answer the question? I forgot where I was
Well,
going.
no, you did. And then I'm gonna ask a follow-up, which is if there's someone out there, because many people out there are that I imagine, because I intuitively feel guided to certain people. They have, that there's a message, there's a reason they are to be there, perhaps, and then they may or may not be there. But for anyone out there who's watching this right now, and they're feeling that stirring, they're feeling that like, oh my gosh, is this my invitation? What would you say to them? Because even like I reached out to you, right? I was like, Elizabeth, I think you're meant to be there, and I may be reaching out to some people watching this, or I may not be. Right at this point, it could be that this is the invitation. It's not a personalized message. So, what would you say to anyone watching who's feeling like, oh my gosh, that sounds interesting. I'm getting chills. I'm feeling alignment, and yet, do I take that step? How do I know it's the right decision? How do I know it's in alignment? Would you offer anything to them?
So I think, ooh, I'm getting just really emotional as I'm talking about this, but I think for me, like it did come down to that emotion instead of being rational about it. And that's why I'm feeling this way right now as I think back on it. But, as a writer, I had that thought of like, well, why do I need to go to Costa Rica to do this? Can't I just write it at home? So I think I already answered that, it would have been totally different if I'd tried to write it at home. And actually, I was thinking as you were speaking that, coming into the retreat, I really had this, like, I felt really torn, thinking like, okay, am I writing this book for myself or am I writing it for an audience? And the idea that it would look different depending on the answer to that question. And actually, like, I don't feel that conflict anymore. And the retreat really helped me resolve that. Understanding that, the writing process for the author is like an instrumental, critical piece of it. And for me to go through that process will then be beneficial for the reader. I don't need to like somehow take myself out of it and only consider the reader, that they're one and the same.
Yes. Yes.
So that was a big realization that was kind of learned through experience. And the retreat was worth it just for that, if not for so many other reasons.
Amazing. You're speaking to a couple things. One, the emotional, which I would call heart. This is a heart. You responded to the invitation with your heart and not your head, right? The emotion over the logic at times, and I'm sure you did sit down and were the dates aligned and could all those things, and that's part of it. And then it gets down to it being a heart answer. And actually, I just spoke with another woman who will be joining us in March, and she said the same thing. She goes, "This is a heart answer," and that makes it even better, right? Like it's really coming from that space. And so I want to really highlight that I heard you say that. And I think that is what it comes down to for so many of us when we're presented with an invitation and offering an opportunity. It's where are we going to make that decision from, and then know that we're being guided and supported in that. And then I also love that you did speak to, again, that the process that the author goes on, the journey, right? It is a healing journey, a healing process for the author first, which will inevitably benefit the book and every reader who reads that book, right? So I love that you also articulated that and were able to experience that while you were on retreat. That's absolutely one of my deepest intentions and deepest visions for every single author who I have the pleasure of interacting with.
Yes. And if you remember, we had, the call that, the pre-retreat call, which, by the way, I'll say was very helpful on its own for clarifying my book idea, but I actually had two that we discussed. And, there was one that was kind of closer to my heart, but I was like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to write this. I'll know when I'm ready. And then I got on the retreat, and I became ready by being there. And that was the one I ended up working on.
Mm.
So I guess just a little plug for, it was like, I've been waiting to start this because I'm like, well, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. I'll know when it's the right time. The right time was when I arrived in Costa Rica, apparently.
Costa Rica is a magical space, as you mentioned, the land alone, right? The land alone. So, wow. Elizabeth, is there, I mean, I feel so satisfied and grateful. And again, because as someone who holds the space, it's different than a person who is coming into the space. So I'm so grateful to you to be able to show up and share your experience and articulate it. And I want to ask if there's anything else you want to share, either about that or the creative process in general.
Really just, I wanted to say that the location of the retreat is a really beautiful and magical place in itself. I think, like looking on the website before the retreat, I was a little nervous, like, what, we're going to be sleeping in tents? I'm just, used to like a little nicer accommodations now that I'm in my 40s, but it was very comfortable. And, I felt at ease. I felt supported. I didn't feel like I was roughing it. So just wanted to maybe put any fears at ease that anyone else might have along those lines.
Awesome. I love that because yes, those are actually very important things. So thank you for speaking to that. And as someone who slept in a tent for 6 months, it did feel quite extravagant, and yet not everyone's expecting it. But they do such a beautiful job there, yes, to help us feel comfortable and fully supported. So thank you. And so for any of you listening, my heartfelt invitation and desire is that if anything Elizabeth said, anything that I said resonated with you, then I invite you to join us. And it's this month. It's March 21st through the 26th. We're going to align with nature and all that is, and start the new year, the spring new year together. And what for me better intention to come in and say, I'm beginning this project, or maybe I'm bringing this project to an end, right? Maybe it's that you need to finish this book that you've been working on, and all you need is to carve out that time and space. Or you've been sitting on this idea of how to get started, and you're where Elizabeth was, and you're thinking, gosh, I just don't even know which direction to go. This is exactly what will help you get that clarity and know how to move forward. So I see this as what I do in the world is that I help the end-to-end process of books, and this retreat can help at either end as well. So if you have any inkling of desire, I heartfully invite you to reach out. You can reach out to Elizabeth. You can reach out to me. You can see if anything else she would like to share about her experience. And of course, reach out to me if you'd like to talk more, and I'll make sure the links are also in the notes. So thank you so much, Elizabeth, for your time, and for all of you who are watching and who are desiring to share your stories. Elizabeth, when this book is finished, I look forward to having you back, and we will talk more about the book and how people can find it and read it and be impacted by it.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. And like you said, if anyone wants to send me a question about my experience, I'm happy to talk more about it.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And if I don't see you in March, many, many blessings until I see you soon.